On the Pleasures of No Longer Being Very Young by G. K. Chesterton. There are advantages in the advance through middle age into later life which are seldom stated in a sensible way. Seldom is rarely. Sensible is having or showing good sense or judgment. Generally, they are stated in a sentimental way. Sentimental is characterized by emotions. In a general suggestion that all old men are equipped with beautiful snowy beards like Father Christmas, equipped is to dress out attire. Father Christmas is the legendary figure of Santa Claus, representative of the Christmas spirit, a fat, rosy old man with flowing white beard who brings children presents for the Christmas season and rejoice in unfathomable wisdom like Nestor. Unfathomable means fathom is a unit of length equal to 6 feet, used to measure depths of water. Unfathomable means immeasurable or incomprehensible, and rejoice in unfathomable wisdom like Nestor. Nestor is the eldest and wisest of the Greek chieftains who besieged Troy. Chieftain is the head or leader of a tribe or clan. Besiege is to surround with military forces to bring about its surrender. All this has caused the young people to be skeptical. Skeptical, a person who habitually doubts the authenticity of accepted beliefs about the real advantages of the old people. All this has caused the young people to be skeptical, doubt about the real advantages of the old people. And the true statement of those advantages sounds like a paradox. A paradox is a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement. A statement contrary to received opinion, a self-contradictory, essentially absurd or false statement. Seemingly absurd, though perhaps really well-founded statement. A self-contradictory proposition, for example, I am always a liar. A statement that is self-contradictory or may be true. This is a seemingly absurd, but it may be true. I would not say that old men grow wise, for men never grow wise, and many old men retain a very attractive childishness and cheerful innocence. Cheerful is having a happy disposition, in good spirits. Innocence is sinless, pure, not corrupted or tainted with evil. Elderly people are often much more romantic than young people. Romantic is a spirit of or inclination for adventure or mystery. Mysterious, exciting, sentimental or nostalgic quality. And sometimes even more adventurous, having begun to realize how many things they do not know. Realize is become conscious or aware of something. It is a true proverb, no doubt, which says, there is no fool like an old fool. It means that there is no excuse for old people to behave foolishly because they have had plenty of chances to learn. An old man is also aware of his ignorance in the world of knowledge. Perhaps, possibly, maybe, there is no fool who is half so happy in his own fool's paradise. Half so happy in his own fool's paradise means hugging or cherishing his own illusions or wrong notions. Every fool is at least half happy in his own delusions. But an old fool is considered important in the proverb because even in his foolishness there is an element of wisdom lying beneath the surface of his foolishness. But however this may be, it is true that the advantages of maturity, fully grown mentally and physically, are not those which are generally urged even in praise of it. And when they are truly urged is to advocate or recommend earnestly and persistently. They sound like an almost comic contradiction. Comic is humorous, funny, or characterized by comedy. Contradiction is to affirm the opposite of a statement, to declare to be false or incorrect, or to be inconsistent with. So, when they are truly urged, they sound like an almost comic contradiction. For instance, one pleasure attached to growing older is that many things seem to be growing younger. Growing younger, a new point of view. They are seen with a new point of view. Growing fresher and more lively than we once supposed them to be. We begin to see significance, importance, or in other words, to see life in a large number of traditions, institutions, maxims, and codes of manners that seem in our first days to be dead. Traditions are the body of customs, thoughts, beliefs, etc., belonging to a particular country, people, family, or institution over a long period. Institutions, an established custom, law, or relationship in a society or community. Maxims are adages, proverbs, a brief expression of a general truth, principle, or rule of conduct. Codes are a conventionalized set of principles or rules. First days, young age. A young man grows up in a world that often seems to him intolerably old. Intolerably means unable to endure, unable to put up with, unable to bear. He grows up among proverbs and precepts. Precepts are a rule or principle for action, maxims, a guide or rule for morals that appear to be quite stiff and senseless. Stiff are not easily bent, rigid, inflexible, difficult to accept in its severity or harshness. He seems to be stuffed with stale things. Stuff is to fill completely. Stale is uninteresting from overuse, no longer new, having lost its effectiveness or force, as by failure to act or by lapse of time. He seems to be stuffed with stale things, to be given the stones of death instead of the bread of life. This means adaptation of a biblical remark: which father will give his son a stone when he asks for bread? To be given the stones of death instead of the bread of life, to be fed on the dust of the dead past, to live in a town of tombs. Town of tombs means among the dead and the manners of the old and the dead. It is a very natural mistake, but it is a mistake. The advantage of advancing years lies in discovering that traditions are true and therefore alive. Indeed, a tradition is not even traditional except when it is alive. Traditional is of relating to or being a tradition. It is great fun to find out that the world has not repeated proverbs because they are proverbial, but because they are practical. Proverbial means commonly or traditionally referred to as an example of some peculiarity, characteristic, etc., or resembling a proverb. Until I owned a dog, I never knew what is meant by the proverb about letting a sleeping dog lie, or the fable about the dog in the manger. Letting a sleeping dog lie means avoid interfering in a situation that is currently causing no problems, but may well do so as a result of such interference. A fable is a short moral story, especially one with animals as characters. Dog in the manger. It means an obstinate and selfish person who cannot use things for himself and at the same time does not allow others to use it. Manger is a box in a stable, barn, etc., from which the horses or cattle feed. The horses and cattle feed. Now those dead phrases are quite alive to me, for they are parts of a perfectly practical psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of all forms of human and animal behavior. Until I went to live in the country, I had no notion of the meaning of the maxim, "It's an ill wind that blows nobody good." Notion is a vague idea, impression, opinion, an inclination, or whim. "It's an ill wind that blows nobody good" means that there is something good even in that object which one considers to be absolutely bad. Now it seems to me as pertinent and even pungent as if it were a new remark. Pertinent is relevant or relating to the matter at hand. Pungent means biting, mentally stimulating, pleasantly stimulating or disturbing the mind. Now it seems to me as pertinent and even pungent as if it were a new remark just made to me by a neighbor at the garden gate. It is something to come to live in a world of living and significant things instead of dead and unmeaning things. And it is youth in revolt. Revolt is a rebellion or uprising against authority. Even in righteous revolt, righteous is characterized by proceeding from or in accordance with accepted standards of morality, justice, or uprightness, which sees its surroundings as dead and unmeaning. Surroundings, the environment. And it is youth in revolt, even in righteous revolt, which sees its surroundings as dead and unmeaning. It is old age and even second childhood that has come to see that everything means something and that life itself has never died. Second childhood means extreme old age when a man is helpless as a child.